It's clickbait. Gotcha, because you're listening to us. It's not really that kind of tenseness. The guy's got a ton of experience, Olympic gold medalist, multi-time world champion. Listen, the guy's fine. If he's saying he's tense, it's actually a different way of saying he's ready, but in a respectful way.
Welcome into boxing scene's top stories here on ProBox TV. Don't forget, download the ProBox TV app. Never fall behind in your boxing news. The big boxing news of this week, of course, this weekend, it is Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois in London. Of course, post-fight, we'll have your content here, the post-fight breakdown, as we always do here in studio. But the news right now leading up to the fight is the honesty of Anthony Joshua, saying, of course, he is, quote, tense before the fight. Is that good news, bad news? Is he being honest, or is that the edge he needs? Jimmy Smith, of course, alongside the champs, Paulie Malignaggi, Chris Algieri joining us. Paulie, when you hear a fighter say he is tense, he is nervous, is Anthony Joshua one of those guys who being tense, being nervous, being sharp might be a good thing for him? What's your thought on it?
I think it always has to be a little bit that you're tense because it gives you that reactionary fear, you know, that non-frill, that you don't freeze in that deer like a deer in the headlights fear, you know. You need a little bit of a healthy fear before every fight. But Joshua saying he's tense, I don't think it means what people may think it means. It just means that he's, you know, in that fight mode, you know, that proper tension that I'm describing. So the whole, is it good that he's feeling tense? And it's not like a fear. We're making more of it here than what it really is. It's clickbait. Gotcha, because you're listening to us. It's not really that kind of tenseness. The guy's got a ton of experience, Olympic gold medalist, multi-time world champion. Listen, the guy's fine. If he's saying he's tense, it's actually a different way of saying he's ready, but in a respectful way, meaning like this fight is a big fight. Dubois is a respectable opponent who's dangerous, so you feel good, but there's that tension there. The tension is in the air of a big fight, but it's not something that he's not familiar with like before. He's been in plenty of big fights. He knows that this tension is normal, and he knows how to react to it. It's a proper tension. It's a healthy fear.
Chris, is that a good thing considering, you know, the Ruiz fight? The criticism, of course, he may have, you know, looked past Ruiz, didn't think he was that good. He ended up paying a price and getting knocked out in that fight. Is little tension a good thing?
Well, Jimmy, your initial question was like, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Does it mean he's being honest? Is he being genuine? Is this going to make him better? Yes. Yes, to every single one of those questions. It's good, it's bad. It shows that he's being genuine. It shows that he's ready. It shows that he's nervous. All of those things. And guess what? He's been like that probably every fight of his entire career. This man has had the world on his shoulders his entire career. So much pressure. He's been carrying heavyweight British boxing for a very long time. He's about to fight in front of 100,000 people. Very rare to be able to be the main event of an arena of that size, of an audience of that size. And add on top of that a loss here, I mean, we're essentially spelling the end of Anthony Joshua's reign as being a top heavyweight. He's also going to be giving up the mantle as the British heavyweight king. This guy's British too. He's fighting another Brit. He's also fighting a guy who can punch like gangbusters. So yeah, this is a dangerous fight. And champ, to your point about being tense, you know what else is tense? A cobra right before it strikes. It's not a bad thing to be tense. It's not a bad thing to have anxiety. It's what keeps us alive in survival mode when we're in nature. It's what keeps you tight and ready to rock when it's fight night. If you're walking out of that ring and you're not tense, if it's fight week and you're not tense, something's wrong. You're probably in the wrong sport. You need that little touch of anxiety. You need that touch of tension in you to keep you sharp, to keep you a little scared, a little hungry. All of those things are really important when it comes to fight night, especially one of this magnitude. And I think at this stage of his career, this is really a crossroads fight. Yes, he's been here before, but not at this age, not at this stage. And like I said, a loss here is a big deal.
Well, what's your thought, Paulie? Another, I don't want to say controversy, but something people are looking at is Ben Davidson in his corner. That's his fourth trainer. Now, we had Timothy Bradley on our air yesterday talking about it. He thinks it's good that Anthony Joshua takes from a lot of different trainers. He takes a strength from them and becomes better as a fighter. But a lot of people see switching trainers as you aren't settling, you aren't comfortable, you're not with one person who really knows you and can help you in the corner. Paulie, there are ups and downs. What's your thought about it?
Yeah, there's pros and cons to both. I've seen terrific success stories with one trainer the whole time. And then I've seen terrific success stories with guys who switch around. In Anthony Joshua's situation, I think this is the best he's looked honestly. I see the hunger back. I see that his experience is counting for his benefit in this situation, because there was a point in his career where he was looking like he was regressing despite the experience that he had. And then earlier on in his career, he was a hungry destroyer, but he didn't have the experience, right? So at this point now, he's gotten both. You know, he's gotten the experience, and he's got that hunger to be a destroyer back. But he's doing it in such a cerebral way, and I think that's where Ben Davidson comes in. He's bringing the best out of AJ, and AJ's bringing the best out of Davidson. I think they're really a match made in heaven, and I really, really look forward to continuing to see what kind of success they have, because this is the biggest test of their tenure so far. You know, Joshua's looked good. He's looked very good, actually, more than good, since joining forces with Davidson. But this is a matchup that's going to show us how it all comes together against a very, very dangerous opponent. You know, you expected him to do well against Ngannou and beat Ngannou, but it was the way he did it, right? You expected him to get over Otto Wallin, but Wallin specialized in making guys look really bad and could even upset you if you were sleeping on him. He blew away both guys. You know, just looked terrific doing it. You know, looked better than expected in fights that he was expected to win, but maybe not look so good. And so now all of a sudden he's looked terrific in those fights and won them. Now he's in a fight where you probably favor him a little bit, but it's a real risk here. Like, there's a lot of people that would say he could lose this fight. And if he's not at his best, he could lose this fight. DUBOIS is really, has a lot of forward momentum going right now in his career, confidence-wise, and he's overcome a lot as well in his fight. He's doing the best of his boxing, of his career as well. So this is where it all comes together here. This is where the crossroads fight is, and for Davidson and Joshua, because you're going to get put in situations in this fight. It's possible where you got to think a little bit deeper, and adjustments have to be made a little bit more. And that's where a guy like Davidson really comes in and shows that the addition of him is really worthwhile. Now, if Joshua comes in and blows this guy away too, then bro, we really, really got to give credit to this tandem of Davidson and AJ, because then it's just something different. But I expect a very good fight.
That's what I'm curious about, Chris. When you talk about the trust of a corner man, of course, Teddy Atlas, always on our air. You know, Michael Moore, when he won his heavyweight title against Evander Holyfield, kind of willed Michael Moore into that fight. He was the right corner man for that time in between rounds. How important is that relationship when a fight, as Paulie says, gets tough, gets difficult? You have to make adjustments. You need that voice you trust.
I think it always matters, but I think it matters more depending on the athlete, on the charge. I'm glad you brought up Teddy Atlas, because if you think of that and think of Michael Moore, right? Michael Moore had all the physical gifts. He had hand speed, he had technique, he had power, he had a mean streak in him. But Teddy brought the best out of him. And without Teddy, he just wasn't the same kind of fighter. I think we're seeing that with Anthony Joshua. None of the questions about Joshua is about his physicality. The guy is an Adonis. Like, if I'm building a fighter in a video game, I'm making Anthony Joshua. He's got everything. He is a true super heavyweight. He's fast. He has good technique. He's got one-punch power with both hands. He's got a jab. He can do it all. He's got endurance against especially other big men. So, yeah, he's got all those things, but it's up here. All the work with other trainers, you know, I don't look at it like he's taking pieces from all of them. The guy knew how to fight. He's a gold medalist. He had a long career before that. He beat Vladimir Klitschko. Like, he unseated Vladimir Klitschko. That's a big deal, man. So, yeah, I think that in terms of Joshua and where he's at, it's all up here. You know, I think him and Davidson have a certain understanding. You know, and he even said it in an interview himself. He looks back at some of his old fights. He's like, hey, man, I'm really good at this. As if that was in question. So for me, it's in his head. And if Ben Davidson could get him to feel comfortable and go out there and do what he can do and has been doing for a very long time, and understand that he can have fun and do this, I think that's really the difference. That's what we're seeing. And I agree with you, Champ. If he can go out there and blast out Dubois, woo, boy, we're looking at a whole new beast.
It's going to be an outstanding fight. Don't forget to join us post-fight right here on ProBox TV. We'll have our big fight breakdown live after the fight concludes. Download the ProBox TV app. Never fall behind in your boxing news, and there is always more to come.
Wednesday Night Fights.
Dynamite action on Wednesday Night Fights every other Wednesday on your boxing channel.
Coming up on your next Wednesday Night Fights, October 9th. Chris, Primetime Colbert, and Omar Super Salcido step into the ring for what is sure to be a barn burner. Live from the ProBox Event Center in Plant City. Get your tickets at ProBoxTV.com or take your chances at the door. Wednesday Night Fights.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.